A little cooler today. We're back in the shack. You remember yesterday? A little cardboard mock-up, Where I left it in my sweaty, blurry haze of memory was we're going to build a tank similar to this. Maybe not 100%. We're going to let the steel be the final dimensions. But I wanted to put this top bar, this backbone of the chassis, to suspend the tank, so the tank will be below the frame. You look at this, I don't know if we'll have a double tube coming off of here, bending and going forward, or maybe just a single. But I was thinking, we got to clear the valve cover here. So if this was just up to that, see, we're going to have to pull the tank up a little bit to match this. So that's why I'm not going to bend this until we create the actual steel tank. So we'll build the frame around whatever comes out of the sheet metal break. If you know me, I am open to the inspired moment. We're not building anything from blueprints. This is just an idea. So now, I built this big box yesterday, and as soon as I stood back and looked at it, it's like, it just looks too bulky. I like something more like this, like that sort of coffin you would see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a top and a bottom identical, and then cap the sides. So I got a full sheet of steel, a big piece of sheet on the workbench. We're going to start measuring and laying it out. So all in all, the entirety of this will be basically 11.5 to the bend, and then out to 20. So we're going to be 20 long by, let's make it 6 wide. See, we're a little narrow here. As I started messing around, this played out to about there. So I think a 6-inch wide tank would look good. Let's lay out 20 by 6. We got 6, and then 6 by 20. All right. So I believe we were 2 1/4 on our top dimension. Verify. Yeah, so we're going to come down to 2 1/4 on each end. So we're going to find the center. And we're going 1 1/8. 2 1/4. So we'll find center. Eighth, 2 1/4. I think I said 11 up or so. So at 11.5 from the bottom, and that's it. So we're going to come in with our shape like so. So we're going to do 2 of these, identical top and bottoms. Because at first I was laying it out to the size of the chassis yesterday. Then I realized I don't want it to hug. I don't want it to hug this vertical bar like it was doing. I want it to come in. I feel like it's just going to look a little bit lighter. More like a little, you know, like an accessory, just hanging. I need to do some cleanup on this. You can see I left it outside and we had a little rain event. But I got a pretty cool tool to clean that up. This is going to be the top and bottom identical. And I'm cutting this with the disc because if you notice with the hand shear, it kind of crimps it up a little bit. Like it bends it and you don't get like a perfectly flat cut like I do here. So that's the reason for that. This really is going to be a gas tank. That's why I'm cleaning it up inside and out, so you don't want no crud in the fuel. Now we got twinsies. We're going to bend them at the same angle. Put them in the brake. Decide where we want this bent. Looks like there and there. Put them in the brake. How much we want to bend that? I'd say, see, that's the thing. We're open for interpretation. That looks like way too much. That looks like just about right.
Ooh la la.
More. That's looking nice. Yeah, be a little exaggerated. You see from the valve cover to the headset, that's funky. I'll put 2 tacks on this. So now we have these dimensions. This is where it gets interesting. We're going to take this marker, we're going to trace the inside. And there's a lot of ways to lay out stuff like this, but from my experience doing it in this manner of a process, starting with the metal and following through instead of building a complete template out of paper, doesn't seem to translate the same to me. I'll show you why in a second. This may not be exact side to side. You see, I just did it freehand. So looking here, see, it's just a little bit off. That's what I'm saying. Not a huge deal, but if I was to just say like a CNC machine, it would lay out everything exact and perfect by the number. So we see that that's not the case. So we're going to leave this here, and then we're going to cut outside. See, we're going to need a little edge, because when we weld it, we're going to want a little backer, a little reinforcement. I did the top and bottom here, and guaranteed, if you just MIG welded that on sheet metal, like fast and loose like I did, it's going to leak. I've made a lot of gas tanks. You're going to have one little spot, it's going to get you. So what I've done in my practice is I over weld these areas, and then I finish them back with the sander, or you could TIG weld it. I don't have a TIG welder here today. It's at my friend's house. So I'm going to cut around the outside of this, and I'll show you why afterwards. Not going to clean the bottom of this because we need those lines for now. I'm just cutting off the edge of the marker line. You'll see why in a moment. Alright, so we want this to slip fit. So these flanges are going to bend up 90 degrees. So it rigidizes the sheet. And remember, we traced on the inside. So we want to show this line on the brake with each bend. That way the thickness of the material folds inside that. If I was to move this line in the machine, then it would be bigger once it's bent. So we want this to come in just on the inside. Right there. We're going to bend that 90. Maybe a little more because we don't really need that flange in its entirety, just the edge. So this is where it's going to get dicey too. Remember, I don't have a pan brake, so we're going to run out of room on these edges. Let me clip this back just a little bit. Same story on this side. Just inside the line. Yeah, see, roll it around like here. Trim this back. Get as much as we can. This one in. Let's do this here. Things you think of after halfway through the process. With a pan brake, I said this many times before, you'll have different sections of this top piece, so you can just leave it open so that this will fall through. I'm not working with that luxury today. Alright, now last but not least is this one. So we have to come to that side, clear this out like I've done the rest. Alright, that's one. Might have to sand these little points down and see how it fits in there.
I think when you do the next one, I'm going to take the phone inside and cool it off. Because it's going to be the same process, right?
Exactly the same. Yeah, that's going to work. So now we have this, but we need to bend it across here. I think I'm just going to do that freehand. What I do, I put 2 clamps on this and just pull it up. Alright, so I'm going to put 2 clamps and a little piece of bar across that. Can you dig it?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna do the same to the other side and then tack it together.
And Jamie's gonna go cool off the phone.
Go cool it off.
So you guys won't be able to see this other part, but Ian said it's the same exact process.
Same exact process.
So intermission time.
Cue the intermission music.
This is where the curtains open and the phone has cooled down.
Aha!
And Ian did the other part.
2 pieces. And in all honesty, movie magic? No, this is reality. I didn't like the fit up of the very first one I made, so I remade it. I'll show you.
You did.
Because that's one of the things we were struggling, and we talked about that repeatedly with the TV show, was just movie magic, right? So it was like, yeah, you just did it, and man, I'm not happy with the fit up. Okay, I'll just make another one behind the scenes. So
Was it the same steps?
Exactly the same, but I just opened it up just a little bit. So look how this one fits in. See how it's loose?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I just made the next one just a smidge bigger. Because that's the thing. It's like when you take your time, you could do it right. See? Now that's right. Boom.
Nice.
So I could tack this in. I'm not going to weld it fully because I don't want to warp it. So I'm just going to tack it to hold it, and we're going to get onto that frame. So I'm tacking it here. I'll tell you why in a sec. I built a lot of these, and I used to start like either on the center or on one of the ends, and I found if you start here, then you can close this, see?
Mm-hmm.
But once you get into welding the last piece, how to stretch it out, you're going to have to somehow mechanically stretch it. So it's worth saying, when I build these tanks, I like to start right from this joint here. And I leave it just a little bit out. And these corners I'm leaving open because that's where the gas is going to come out of. A little copper tube I'm going to braze or solder right there. Right. You see, before you get too deep into it, you can push this out. See? Just tap it right to where you want it. Right there. Okay. Cool. Getting confused. Same with this, it's a nice tight fit. Right? This. Grab this one, I like this fit the best right here. That looks good. Always one. There it is. See, that was the difference. If there's a gap, it's harder to weld. The weld falls right through, so that's why I was trying to get that set. So yeah, the idea is a nice tight fit up. All right, so that's it for now on the fuel tank. I'm going to need to find a fuel filler. I'm going to be on the lookout for something cool. And as I mentioned, the little outlets for the fuel to come out. So that being said, that's very hot. Don't touch. So the down tubes that are going to go above this. I don't have an example of the bend right now. Or do I? Do we make this with that? See what I'm saying? We might need a tighter radius. Or I might just have to cut it. Would that look right with the chassis? No, I don't think it will. So see how gradual the bends are in this die? That's what I'm worried about over the tank. You might just want to cut it with the disc grinder and weld it back together. But the nice flowy action all through here, will that hard bend look appropriate? There's only one way to find out. I put this in the bender. We're going to bend it to that angle. We're going to see what we come up with. And we need, to the center of the bend, we need a minimum of 9. Just a hair more. Rather bend it over a little bit so I don't have to put it back into the tool. Yeah, if that's not perfect, it's just a little bit more bent. All right, that's gonna work. You see, this is kind of a rough layout here. The way that this is going to hang below, sort of like that. So that'll be pretty kooky. I'm going to make another one of these because I think I'm going to want 2 on the top. Or am I? Is it going to get into your thighs? See, I'm thinking if I'm sitting here and there's a wide bar, it might get you right in between. No, that'll work. I think just one top tube. It's going to look a lot cleaner. And this can float right there. Yeah. All right, so that's where we're at. We have a plan for the chassis. And as I mentioned, this thing is going to hang on some cool grommets. This is probably going to be more rearward. So does that curve look even now?
Yes.
It's going to kind of sit like that. Yeah, I like that. The backbone is above the tank. So I'm looking for some kind of kooky little filler. Can stand off to one side of this. So I think that addresses that. Depending on what I come up with next, I'm still trying to figure out the bearings for the rear drive. That's why I'm still sitting on a box and not tires. And then I think this is cool. Now that we have these layout, the 3 tubes are going to come together like this. We can set up for the head tube that the forks will be in and build the fork angle. Yeah, that's what we'll do next. Then we'll get onto this body, etc. Yeah. Cool. That's what's up.